get started, and in honor of Women's History Month and to show our appreciation for women working hard in the industry, we'll be talking to some of them over the course of the next few weeks and taking an inside look at their journey and what has helped shape them into the powerful women that they are today. Before we get into introductions and the interview, I want to take a moment to thank our bosses, Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerby, because without them, we wouldn't even have the platform that we have to be able to do this. I also want to thank today's guests, because without our guests, we also wouldn't have anyone in place to share their experiences with, and we wouldn't be able to put this series of interviews together. I have with me today my friend and colleague, Crystal Frost, who has been with Mayweather Promotions since 2016. And we've developed a type of professional relationship where we can share our knowledge on the process and learn from each other along the way. And it has just really made a great bond for us. We've also developed a personal relationship, and it's just nothing better than being able to finish our 250 squat challenge and then jump right into work topics and be like, okay, what's next? What time is the Zoom? Let's talk about this. We can just really switch gears back and forth, and it's really a great chemistry. And with that, I'll let Crystal take it from here.
Okay, don't remind me of the squats. We're doing a squat challenge, Ava, so we're on 275. But to Nicole's point, it is great to be able to create with women that you are truly inspired by. Like Nicole mentioned, I've been here since 2016, and I've grown deeply. The bond that we have is incredible. If I'm feeling down, she can lift me up, and also to be surrounded by powerful women like you, Ava, and to know about your story, to hear about your story. These are experiences that I cherish personally, and I think it's going to be a great experience for people to truly know who you are, get to know you, and kind of grow a deeper bond for you, because this shouldn't be the only time that we shine a light, but I hope that this is the start where we can continue to amplify the beautiful, independent, strong women. So yes, today we're joined by former boxing world champion and MMA fighter, Ava Knight, who also happens to be a Mayweather Promotions fighter. We're excited to hear your story. I was truly inspired, and I think that at some point, every person who hears your story can relate to it in some way, shape, or form. So thank you for joining us today, Ava.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for letting me be on. I'm excited. I'm not too good at the interviews either, so I'm moving through this.
It's okay. I mean, we're just here having a girl chat. I mean, we're pushing the conversation forward. And like I said, when Nicole and I were talking about this, it really started with just an idea, how it shows how a little spark can turn into something deeper. And so you are someone that inspires me also. We've had, the chance to really get to know each other. So I'm excited to hear more about you. And, to start this off, we're going to start with a little game we'd like to call This or That. So I'm going to ask you a series of this or that, and you're going to tell me. Nicole is going to set a timer for 60 seconds, and let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, ready? And go.
Black or white?
Black.
Biggie or Tupac?
Tupac.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Cycle or rollerblading?
Rollerblading.
Tacos or wings?
Tacos.
Twitter or Facebook?
Twitter.
Okay. Sneakers or heels?
Sneakers. For sure.
Wallflower or twerking?
Wallflower.
I'm a wallflower too. Call or text?
Call.
Okay. All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. For sure.
Vacation or staycation?
And both.
Okay. Jeans or sweatpants?
Sweatpants, for sure.
Instagram Reels or TikTok?
Instagram.
Okay. Air Forces or Jordan Retros?
Air Forces.
All right, time's up.
That was fun. So let's get into the interview, Ava. I got to read a little bit more about what you sent over with the bio. And so you're from Chico, California. So for those who have never been there, tell us a little bit about growing up there.
So Chico, California is a little town up in Northern California. It's above Sacramento, between Sacramento and the border, I think, of Oregon. There's really nothing up there, but we have a university. We used to be a really big college party town, but that got ruined. Probably by the time I was in college, it was pretty much over that. It's a nice little town. It was not very diverse. Nothing around it but farmland. So, I mean, it was a little city. It was kind of tough in the sense that I felt alone all the time, but it wasn't too bad. It's a nice city. We have a lot of great athletes that have come out, including Aaron Rodgers, which is great, and a few great golf players from Chico, and wrestlers. So it's a good place to grow up in.
So I read that you're the youngest of three, and I know that you experienced your own personal challenges with, like you said, feeling alone and trying to fit in at school. So how did these help shape you in becoming the fierce and confident woman that you are today?
So as a child, being the youngest, I was kind of the one that was always left out, and I was not the favorite. How most people think that the youngest is the spoiled one, I wasn't. For sure I wasn't. And I was always just trying to hang around my sisters all the time, and they didn't want me around. So it was kind of like a battle of trying to find myself but still have people around me. And it ended up being almost every day in high school. When my sister graduated and gone, I ate lunch every day by myself because I didn't have the friends. And you know, like boxing was really the only thing I had at that time. It kept me going for what it was, and it was just a struggle in itself, because always being alone and then finding a sport where you're still always alone was another challenging thing. But I guess I kind of grew into the fact that I might be a loner for the rest of my life.
So you pretty much embraced it. Like you used that as your motivator in a sense. And just kind of like knowing that, and knowing like you also went from sleeping on the gym floors when you couldn't pay your rent to becoming a world champion. What do you recall from that point in your life where you made the ultimate sacrifice to push for what you believed in when no one else truly believed that you could do it?
I remember when I started boxing in Chico, it was small. My coach down there, Joe, was amazing, but at that time, no one really thought I was going to make it when I was young. And it was exciting for me to know that I actually was the only one that did. But at 22, my coach was getting a little older, and I decided that I wanted to box. I quit college, and I just left. I moved to Oakland by myself with the little money that I had. I was working at that time. And I just took it all, got a place, and just wanted to find out what it was to be a champion. And it ended up with me training and working in a gym, but then not being able to pay my bills. So after that, the gym owner allowed me to come in. I took a little office room, put in a mattress, got a dog because I was scared of, I was in the middle of Nicole at that time. And slept on the floor, slept on that mattress every day in the gym, got up and did my work, and ran around Lake Merritt, did everything I could to become a champion, whether that was just eating top ramen every day and popcorn because that's all I could afford, to going and going to Mexico and winning my first world title. It was amazing. So I really went home, went back to that gym floor after a world title. We continued to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, all that just shaped me to be who I am. I'm a strong woman. I know that even the little things that I have are all great. And I have learned that just being grateful for everything you have and your experiences just have made me be better about everything.
Wow. I think that's really brave of you to just kind of like up and leave home and have a job and a little bit of money, but not really enough to like stretch and for the long term. And your alternative, I'm sure your parents may have let you come back home, but you didn't take that route. You were like, no, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And you made the ultimate sacrifice. And I think that speaks volumes, because I would have been like, I need to come back home. It's not working out. So I commend you.
I was gonna say the funny thing is that I coming from Chico, like I said, it's a small town. Everyone kind of knows each other. It's not dangerous. So the first, I'm like, I'm just gonna go find a cheap place in Oakland to live. Bad idea. But the first week I moved there, 2 guys got shot in front of my window.
Yeah. Oh, I really would have been like, somebody just died.
Take me home.
The guy rolls up and tries to snatch me, and that's the ultimate reason that I have my dog. I'm like, well, I'm gonna get a Doberman because that's the scariest looking thing that can walk next to me besides a pit bull. So, just all these things and just up and moving to somewhere I've never been. But I learned to love it. I actually love Oakland now.
Oakland made you, girl. Oakland made you.
Only the strong survive. It's important. I felt that detail was super important because I think we hear a lot about a lot of the men who come up in the sport who have similar stories of sleeping in the gym, but we don't hear a lot of the women's stories of how they got to where they are and what they had to endure. So I think it's important that people understand that like women go through the same thing that men go through, and especially you're at a deficit because you are aspiring to be a professional in a male-dominated industry, and everything that could have knocked you down, it's almost like you just kept going. And so like you win the world title, or I'm sorry, you become a champion, you go back to the gym. At that point, it's like you've made or you've achieved a goal that you wanted to. So like what kept you going at that point?
I think after realizing that women, obviously we know women don't get paid the same in boxing, but realizing that becoming a world champion would never be real success in the sport. And I think for most men, success in boxing is winning $1 million and having $1 million fight. I realized that wasn't realistic for me. So every time I won a championship, I'm like, I didn't cry, I didn't get excited because I always knew that the paycheck wasn't worth it for me to have those types of emotions. The only thing that kept me going was just that I just loved to fight, and I just wanted to keep getting better, and I wanted to show other people that I was really talented, and I could maybe just be something for the next generation to look up to.
That's awesome. And you have been able to be creative in your pursuits because, you also tapped into MMA. You were a trainer and you've worked with so many people. So, having all of that success under your belt, what is the end goal for Ava Knight?
There's no real end goal for what I think I'm just going for it with my life. They're like, maybe you should do MMA. And at first I was like, no. And then I just decided, why not? Like, I can fight. I'm tough. My last fight I got tapped out. I'm not even upset about it. There are black belts who do MMA that get tapped out. People don't retire undefeated most of the time in both sports. So I just figured I was just going to push my body and my life and everything I wanted to do to the limits. Because I feel like if I wasn't living life on the edge, life was just going to get boring.
I love that.
I mean,
that's like you, Nicole.
That's my motto. Live life
Exactly.
to the fullest and do what makes you happy.
And Nicole is always like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work out. And she's like, you got to see the positive in things. And it's just like, it really is a perspective thing. Do you see the glass half empty or do you see it half full? And to hear you just continue to be optimistic and still feel like, okay, that didn't work, but I'm going to see what this is over here. And that curiosity is what continues to drive you, which is super cool.
Yeah, I feel like with every situation or anything that comes up, there's only 2 ways to go. It either gets better or it gets worse. That's all up to you.
Right. So for you, what remains the biggest challenge in combat sports, having seen both sides of boxing and MMA?
I think the biggest challenge is just still trying to be accepted as a woman and trying to do it your own way, because everybody has a way for you to do this. Like, you need to do this, sex sells, do it this way, be an asshole, talk shit. So I'm just hoping that even, later on in the long run for younger girls and for myself as I get older and pass the torch on, that it gets better. Like, people can just be themselves and be successful.
I love that. So knowing and understanding the importance of having balance, because I feel like with you having so many things and things that you're interested in, whether it's inspiring the next generation, training for an MMA fight, training for a boxing fight, just living life in general, how do you unwind and give yourself a breather? What's your outlet?
The few things that I love to do besides, I actually don't like going to the gym. I just do it because I'm so used to it. But I love to garden and I love to cook. I think I have an obsession. I just, it's getting warm over here in Vegas. So I've been at the nursery almost every day, and everybody thinks I have too many plants. Sometimes I have a good green thumb, sometimes I don't. But those are the two things that just get my mind still. Just to think about something else, think about life in general, just the plants, and then cooking. I just love to eat. So cooking is the best.
Do you feel like your recipes have strengthened since COVID?
100%. I think I've been able to work on the same thing over and over. I've had so
Mine
much
certainly have. Mine have. I know how to cook like good, but only certain things. So I've been able to add to that list because I lack patience and time. So
I'm gonna plead the fifth here.
Crystal been making food delivery service rich.
I have been, but I can make a mean margarita. So I got everybody on that part.
Okay,
I've actually had the pleasure, Ava, of you gifting me a plant. I don't have as good as a green thumb as you, so unfortunately it didn't really make it. But that's awesome to know that you have been able to find other passions outside of the sport and outside of your professional aspirations. So finish this sentence. I am where I am today because
I suffered.
Okay. It's so powerful that I just had to pause.
Right, that's it.
Moment, that is it.
The struggle was real.
Mic drop.
It was.
Okay, well we're done here. Thank you, Ava. No. Okay. So Phil, I'm gonna just give you a question. So fill in the blank, and it's similar to the last one, but fill in the blank. It's the for me. What is it for you?
It's the heart for me, and I guess that can be interpreted different, but it's whether my heart is going for it or my heart is yearning for it, or feel something towards whatever I'm doing.
I love that. So we like to, we like to, as if we've just done this a million times, we would like to start this by ending each interview with a takeaway. So this can be advice to younger women looking up to you, advice to your younger self, or just advice in general to anyone. What is your takeaway statement?
So I guess the takeaway for me would be that all three of us, women who are trying to push themselves further in whatever we're doing, and we're all involved in this male-dominated sport. We're all surrounded by the same old men, that I think that any younger girl or whoever wants to do it knows that if we all can do it, they can do it too.
I like that. I think that speaks volumes because you should never let someone tell you that you can't do something or make you feel like you can't do something. And people always want to say how long they've been in the industry, and it's more than half of my age, so I can't match it. So I guess I'm not, qualified to, provide, to contribute or add value. So I definitely get that on a lot of levels.
I agree. It's time to dismantle that thought and that way of thinking, because even for me, coming into the industry, very, very green, people looked at me as oh, that's the little girl that works for Mayweather Promotions, and it's I'm automatically overlooked because I'm younger. And I think that everybody comes and they bring something of value to the industry. And if people spent less time shutting people down and more time listening to what other people have to contribute to this industry, I think that that would allow us to really, push forward and allow us to kind of be more on an even playing field. So I thank you, Ava, for that. And I thank you for your inspiration and the answers today.
I know that when Crystal first started, I gravitated towards her because I'm like, look, another woman. I know Nicole, every time I saw you, you were always so busy and your head was always going. So I've never really sat down and talked to you. But it's just, I always knew that you were working hard. And then for Crystal, it's just glad to see another girl, or a woman. I know you were taking photographs at that time, and just to connect on that level and just be inspired by Nicole working so hard, while I'm seeing these guy athletes just being dicks. So for me too.
You have definitely shared a side of you that I've never had the opportunity to meet, so I will forever be grateful of that. And I would just say continue to make the most of everything. Never ever abandon your optimistic outlook. And I don't think there's anyone else for you to be than yourself. And you'll laugh when I say this, but outside of me saying live your life to the fullest, the other thing I always say is there's only one me. No one else can be me. I can only be me and no one else can be me. So I think that we share some similarities with our mindset, which is great. And, you killed it with saying it's the heart for you.
Right.
You don't have heart, what do you have?
Y'all gonna make me cry. And this is exactly why we did this. And again, just thank you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Ava.
So before we get off, Ava, let everyone know where they can follow you on social media.
I went and I deleted everything except for my Instagram. I decided that I did not want to be socially available to just anyone because there are a lot of people who have a lot of negative things to say. So it's just on Instagram and it's Ava Knight.
Before we go, be sure to tune in next Wednesday for another special guest. We will have Fox Sports reporter Jordan Plant on with us. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Ava. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in.